Moving forward, we must recognize that bringing war to Abkhazia will not solve our conflict. And if we want to unite Georgia and return the hundreds of thousands of IDPs to their homes, we must find a nonviolent means of conflict resolution. As we all know, this conflict has been marred by violence in the past. But today, I argue that we should stand up and fight against this tendency and adopt the type of courage that Gandhi represented with his Ahisma. My suggestion for a nonviolent means of resolving this conflict is to establish peace zones in the areas where the borders of Abkhazia and Georgia meet. These areas must achieve several things in order to be successful. For one, these areas must be free of any kind of hostility. There must be internal mechanisms set up for conflict resolution within the communities that favor dialogue over conflict. This peace zone must promote peace-building programs that will address the roots and manifestations of the problem in the community. This is crucial. Understanding of one another's concerns is crucial to peace building, and without an open dialogue and transfer of ideas, the divide between Abkhazians and Georgians is only going to continue to widen. There also must be national support for peace building in this area. If we leave the peace zone to itself, it will certainly fail. In addition to national support, there must be local justice programs, developmental programs, and community peace rituals that help foster peace building. Again, there must be active participation by both Georgians and Abkhazians if this grassroots approach is going to be successful. There's also one crucial area we must address and learn from the mistakes of peace zone failures in Bosnia and Colombia, and that is the warring parties must be addressed. There are people on both sides of the conflict that believe that violence is the only means to the end of this conflict. We must include them in this peace zone establishment if we are to be successful. We also must recognize that these are lofty goals, and if we are to achieve them, we must enlist the help of international parties. As you all know, I have a lot of connections throughout the world, and through my participation in ExxonMobil in America, I have a lot of resources that I can tap into to help develop this peace zone. We must also contact international NGOs like Human Rights Watch and perhaps the UN to help assist with the establishment of these peace zones, while still including local organizations like churches, political groups, and other community groups. We must empower members of the Georgia-Abkhazian community in order to give them responsibility for maintaining peace in this area. Autonomy is permanent. We must give these people control of their own lives. In addition to these points I've laid out, another key factor that will contribute to the success of this peace zone is a commitment to sustainable economic development. In Colombia, peace zones failed because the state all but abandoned these areas socioeconomically. They left them to their own devices. While it is important that the members of the community itself are committed to building the peace zone, if they're left to their own, it is unlikely they will succeed. The Georgian government must commit itself to socioeconomic development in this area in the same way that local groups will commit themselves to peace building. If we abandon this area, poverty will be rampant and peace will be difficult to maintain. I hope that my speech tonight can be the event that triggers the establishment of this peace zone, and we will not wait until one side commits a violent act against the other. The type of courage Georgia needs to wield in this conflict is the courage that drove Mahatma Gandhi to practice Ahisma and reject violence in all its forms. I'm certain that my future opponents will attack me for being weak, high-minded, and unrealistic, but I implore you to consider this path of nonviolence and ask yourself if violence can really bring peace. We all know that conflict is an inherent part of existence, but let us now choose to resolve conflict with dialogue rather than violence. The key to a successful peace zone is complete commitment from all parties to the merits of nonviolence. To conclude tonight's speech, I wish to share with you all my original intent for tonight. Prior to my coming here tonight, I did not feel like I was equipped to handle the burden of the presidency and did not see myself bringing war to Georgia and her people. War was the only solution I was familiar with. What I've come to understand, though, is violence is not necessary, and if I do not run for president with a platform of peace, someone else will take control and restart this cycle of violence. I did not come to this realization on my own. Thanks to the love of a beautiful Abkhazian woman named Arda, I've learned that Georgians and Abkhazians can reconcile their differences. I realize that this announcement will come as a surprise to those who know me, but this woman has been at the center of my transformation and will be at the center of Georgia's transformation moving forward as a valued asset. I will certainly be prepared to elaborate on the nature of our relationship in the future, but for tonight, I wish to concentrate on the task at hand. I will accept the nomination for president and will continue to promote the establishment of peace zones as my main tool for resolving the Georgia-Abkhazian conflict. I hope my speech tonight will help all people in Georgia and Abkhazia recognize that violence does not always have to be the answer. Thank you.
Question from
Yes.
newspaper Resonancy. What are you planning to do in your private life? Are you planning to go ahead together with Arda?
I've learned a lot from Arda, and my relationship with her has been very important in terms of my personal growth and my political growth. I recognize that I've done something wrong by having an affair. I've been in contact with my wife, who you all know I have more of a professional than personal relationship with. She is aware of this circumstance, and we are working to come to an agreement that will leave all parties happy and give our children the best chance for success in the future. But that is something I'll need to discuss in private with my family before elaborating on.
What is your economic program? That's our last question. What is your economic program?
Well, the key is sustainable development, and what we are planning to do is set up infrastructure on the border of Abkhazia and Georgia with funds from the International Monetary Fund, the European Union, and also my personal funds. What I plan to do is market this conflict on a global scale, because what we have come to realize is in order to enlist the help of international NGOs, there needs to be some sort of appeal for your conflict. And with more international support, we'll get more intervention from the United Nations and NGOs. And with their expertise, we hope we'll be able to develop a sustainable, stable economy in that area.
And who do you think will be the best mediator between you guys, the Georgian and Abkhaz, to solve the Georgian-Abkhaz conflict?
I think we do realize that we need to bring in some outsiders, but one of the mistakes that we have seen in Bosnia and Colombia is if external influences play too strong of a role, peace zones will not succeed. The key is that the individuals, Georgians and Abkhazians in the peace zones, must buy in to this structure before outside mediators can really play an important role. So our initial goal is to make sure that we have commitment from political and social leaders in Georgia and Abkhazia before we worry about bringing in outsiders.